The presentation was created and prepared by Amy Gonzalez, Chris George, Matthew Johnson, and Gerrick Wilkins. And we had the privilege of reading Eric Brynjolfsson and Andrew McAfee's book, A Second Machine Age, Work, Progress, and Prosperity in a Time of Brilliant Technologies. To start, we must begin with the author's viewpoint, the purpose of the book, and the style of the book. The author's viewpoint includes 1. Analyzing how past and present technological trends will influence future innovations. 2. Exploring the impact of new technologies from multiple perspectives, including various economic, cultural, political, moral, and religious viewpoints. And 3. Providing a future framework as well as a forward-looking analysis of technological innovation. Furthermore, the author's viewpoint seems to be neutral throughout the book by giving both sides of various arguments. Additionally, the author takes the view that the machine age has been a key catalyst of economic growth over the last 30 years and argue that this growth will continue for the foreseeable future. Overall, the author's and book's purpose is to educate the reader on the variety of issues that technology innovation has spurred in the past and will in the near future. The book addresses multiple topics in a manner that is simple and easy to understand from a technical perspective that appeals to a broader audience. The book logically progressed from the beginning of technology with the first machine age and moved into the modern, present day, and thus make it easy for readers to follow. Accordingly, readers who might not have known a lot about technological innovation or have had any prior technological knowledge could easily read the book and plainly understand the message being conveyed. Next, we will now segue into a brief overview of the description of the book. This book provides a nice overview of the information age and the associated technologies our society has experienced in recent years. To clearly see the significant effects of the information age, the author begins by discussing the first machine age, the Industrial Revolution. There was more significant economic growth during this period of time compared to all others in history. However, the innovation and economic growth of the second machine age eclipses this. The authors use various examples in showing the effects of Moore's law and how the exponential growth of technology can be seen. When we think of the processing power of a computer 20 years ago compared to today, the exponential growth is incredible. One of the many examples of this exponential growth was a comparison between the Sandia National Laboratory supercomputer that had a speed of 1.8 teraflops, and only 9 years later this same speed was in a much smaller consumer gaming system, the Sony PlayStation 3. Digitization and innovation are key components of the second machine age and can be seen in various ways in the book. The technological growth observed in the book provides for significant opportunities to innovate. As observed by the authors, there is no better resource for improving the world and bettering the state of humanity than the world's humans. The authors provide many variations of these topics, while also discussing social and economic effects of the technology. It is amazing the technological advances we've experienced in the last 50 years, but there is significant innovation ahead of us. The authors provide a taste of what the future may hold. As we explore the future of technology in the innovative process, I believe it can all be summed up in a quote from President Ronald Reagan: "Our most glorious achievements are just ahead." With a description of the book in mind, we must now discuss the positive and negative aspects of the book, starting with the positives. First, the second machine age gives a brief but comprehensive overview of the history of technology. Second, the authors assess the development in human history that laid a foundation for eventual growth and innovation of technology. For example, the author cites the growth in animal domestication, philosophy, religion, and democracy. The authors assess how the Industrial Revolution effectively ushered in humanity's first machine age. Especially, the authors analyze various economists' theories on the social development caused by the Industrial Revolution. Third, the authors analyze where we are currently in the realm of technology. In this analysis, an emphasis is placed on the positive and negative effects digital technologies have on society. The second machine age. gives an extensive analysis on the economic implications of technology innovations on the individual. First, the authors look at various theories on the effects of technology innovation on employment. The theories range from economists who believe that inelastic demand, rapid change, and severe inequality will lead to technological unemployment, while other economists have posited that where technological demand is very elastic, greater productivity leads to an increase in demand, which leads to more labor being employed. Overall, the authors give a thorough analysis of both sides of the argument, which leave the reader well informed of the dilemma between technology innovation and employment. Second, the authors look at the various skills that will be valued as technology continues to be innovated, and how those skills will be potentially compensated. For example, the authors analyzed education levels to see if the skills acquired through various degrees of education would be valued as technology grows. See the graph below. Lastly, the second machine age gives a wide range of realistic recommendations that help resolve some of the problems alluded to within the book. First, the book highlights recommendations for individuals that range from college choices to the various skills they can desire as technology grows. Second, the book gives policy recommendations that focus on education policy, incentivizing startups, and giving adequate funding to scientists to innovate. Although there are several positive aspects, we must still acknowledge the negative aspects of the book. First, the authors took great care in attempting to explore the many various topics and innovations that impact the evolution of technology. In fact, each chapter addressed multiple points that could have filled an entire library or series of books. For this reason, we found the book at times as overly ambitious. The authors attempted to address so many issues that some topics felt underdeveloped or unfocused. We know that the authors were trying to touch on all topics and did well, leaving no point left unexplored. But some subjects left the reader looking for more. Next, it's important to note that the book did an excellent job of exploring the various economic, political, moral, and social impacts of technology. As non-tech experts, our group did appreciate the mass reader appeal that the book catered to. However, if you are a technology expert or geek, this may not be your favorite read. The book's general nature lacks many of the highly detailed technological specs and jargon that geeks know and love. So as a group, we caution anyone who's looking for a highly technical and detailed analysis of future or current technological innovations. This may not be the right book for you. A third challenge for our review team was repetitiveness. We realize technology as a discipline is very interrelated and has natural connectivity between subjects. This fact resulted in the book feeling somewhat monotonous at times. We often found each other making the same points and conclusions from the book. Also, each of our group discussion forums tended to result in the same underlying themes. This, in turn, restricted more thought-provoking analysis, which leads us to our third and final negative aspect of the book. We recognize that technological innovation is occurring faster than at any point in human history. In the same scope, technology is moving faster than any book could possibly hope to stay current with. Readers will read about so-called cutting-edge innovations such as Google driverless cars and 3D printing that may only be a few years old, but in technological years, these innovations are light years in the past. We do not fault the book or the author for this issue, but we feel that it is important for readers to understand up front that this could be unappealing to those who are used to reading about cutting-edge technology on tech blogs that are sometimes only days old. Given the theme of this book, we would be remiss to not discuss the future and what it will look like moving into the second machine age. After reading the book in its entirety, the future can look either bleak or bright. Although a robot or machine takeover does not seem imminent or even likely, the threat of machines displacing many jobs is very real, especially clerical or administrative jobs. As negative as this might sound, there are also many jobs that are not likely to be displaced, and instead will use technology as a complement to their position. Aside from imminent displacements, the future looks bright moving into the second machine age. With minimal government regulation, entrepreneurs will continue to innovate and create even more useful technologies. Furthermore, our success in the future will be largely dependent on our system of education. If we do not adjust the way we teach future generations, we will fall behind and stay behind. Ultimately, our future does not seem to be as doom and gloom as some portions of the book make it out to be. Overall, as technology continues to advance, we will have to advance with it. And if we do, then our future will be filled with success. In this portion of our presentation, we will now discuss the highlights of the book. Specifically, we will focus on 4 significant elements that we pulled from the book. The first highlight of the book was the various policy recommendations on how, as society, we can deal with technology innovations in the coming future. The second highlight of the book was the importance of our education system and the need to adapt or adjust it accordingly as we move into the future and the second machine age. Another highlight involved the fact that the book took great care to address both the positive and negative economic impacts on technology. Most people agree that technological innovation is a positive economic factor. However, we must also consider the idea that technology has replaced traditional jobs and humans, making human interaction less common. Finally, the last highlight is that more innovation is still ahead of us, and because of the extensive technological landscape that exists, humanity should continue to see significant growth. As noted by the authors, there is no better resource for improving the world and bettering the state of humanity than the world's humans. So you might ask, what have we learned after reading this book? And the answer is, we all have learned a lot after reading this book. The primary takeaways include, first, technological innovations that we thought were coming in the distant future are here now. Second, we need to be informed and educated on how we can potentially utilize these technologies to our advantage. Next, moving into the second machine age, we learned a lot about the exponential growth that occurred during the first machine age, and both the challenges and benefits to innovation that the future holds. Lastly, we have learned that technology is always growing and changing at an exponential pace. We live in an age now that we will see greater transfer of information and knowledge than at any other point in human history. Now we must determine whether we recommend that you all read this book. In other words, to read or not to read. Overall, the book as a whole does a good job depicting and describing the past as well as the future as we move into the second machine age. Thus, as a group, it is our recommendation that you all read this book. We hope that you enjoyed this presentation, got a good glimpse into the book, and will consider reading it yourself. Thank you very much.